for driving business.
Habari ya leo, how are you doing, East Africa? Good morning again. It is still the third hour of the show, and I'll still tell you that the business world is always active every other hour, and that is why we look through all the various sectors. And this time on, we still look at the sports economics. How is the sports sector faring heavily from the world of business? And speaking of which, we start with Kenya, as the Kenyan government has committed to $5 million to fight against doping. Where does this come from? This comes from Kenya faces the threat of athletics being banned amidst the doping crisis. Now, Kenya's government is urging the world athletics not to ban the country from the sport, promising to step up its fight against the use of banned substances after a series of its athletes was suspended for doping. The East African country is well renowned for its middle and long distance runners who have won numerous gold medals. If you're to look at the numerous gold medals at the Olympic Games, at the World Championships, and clocked up world records. And speaking of records, you will definitely look at the big names in there in Kenya. Now, also Kenya ranked third in the athletics medal haul at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, clearly shows you that the country is actively engaging in this particular kind of sport. The country has faced various accusations of widespread use of performance-enhancing drugs for years, but the athletics powerhouse has recently been buffeted by an increasing number of runners testing positive for doping. The country has faced accusations of widespread use of performance-enhancing drugs for years. The Kenyan Sports Ministry issued a statement last week acknowledging the doping crisis and says that the Sports Minister Ababu Namwamba had written to World Athletics President Sebastian Coe and urged the governing body not to ban the Kenyan athletes. The government has told the governing body that it has committed an annual amount of $5 million over the next 5 years for the fight against doping. Well, a number of reasons behind the doping. Sometimes when the World Athletics body realizes that you're performing beyond human capacity, I should say, or I should call it, you get to realize that a number of doping tests that are covered, that are actually carried out, not only in sports, not only in athletics. It is also happening in football, it happens in boxing, it happens in basketball, so it happens in all sporting activities, just to see that a player is actively engaging in a sport without using any additional substance to give them more energy and outperform or outcompete others in what we'll deem to be unfair, or a context that is definitely unfair. So the Kenyan government has committed to using $5 million annually to fight against doping, to ensure that they do all these tests on their runners or their athletes, to ensure that these cases are not happening before they are banned from participating in any world championship, whether the Olympics, whether Commonwealth, or any other athletics world championships all over. So that's a big one that we as the Ugandan government as well should look at. Look at the Tanzanian government, Burundi, Rwanda, and then the other governments across the country, or the other sports ministries across the entire continent in Africa, to produce top quality athletes without being accused of doping. Now let's head to the United Kingdom, speaking of which, the English Premier League, which is on a break due to the World Cup 2022. And of course, speaking of the English Premier League, Bournemouth have appointed Gary O'Neill, who has agreed on an 18-month deal as a permanent coach currently. He had come in as an interim coach following the sacking of Scott Parker. Now, speaking of this, Gary O'Neill has agreed an 18-month deal to become the new Bournemouth head coach after 12 months as interim coach. O'Neill took charge of the Cherries at the end of August following the sacking of Scott Parker and has impressed in his first managerial role. The deal has an option of a further 12 points a further 12 months, rather, depending on how he performs with the team. Bournemouth have won 4, drawn 4, and lost 4 under the 39-year-old, and are 14th in the Premier League, 3 points above the relegation zone. Now, the ex-Leeds head coach Marcelo Bielsa held discussions with the Dorset club over a potential return to the English Premier League, but it's O'Neill who the Bournemouth hierarchy feel deserves to continue in the dugout, and it's both players and fans' favourite. The decision to appoint O'Neill has been made despite the Premier League not approving £120 million takeover by Las Vegas best businessman Bill Foley. It is thought the deal will be rubber stamped within the next couple of weeks after a lengthy directors and owners test by the English Premier League. Remember, Scott Parker was sacked immediately. They lost 9-0 at Anfield in Liverpool after he did start with tough matches he actually started with Arsenal, rather with Manchester City. He moved to Arsenal, moved to Liverpool, losing all those particular matches before he was sacked. Now, with 12 games in charge, Gary O'Neill is now the new permanent coach for Bournemouth in that particular situation. And the English Premier League will definitely return in December after the World Cup, and the top of the leaders of the league are still Arsenal with a 5-point straight difference between them and second place Manchester City, who sits second with 32 points. Arsenal have 37 points. Now, moving away from that, let's head to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar as we're summing up with sports business this morning. Football fans are trading tickets for £330 in there. That's a very huge one. Now, this is happening on hundreds of illegal WhatsApp groups. A group of 20 Argentine fans on the route to their crucial clash with Mexico, where Argentina won that particular one 2-0, only had 10 tickets and between them, with the rest furiously glued onto their phones. Now, when you look at the groups every 10 seconds at the moment, the best offer was $400 being sold in there, approximately £330. One supporter said, after the ticket was posted in the WhatsApp group, there are lots, maybe hundreds of which supporters frantically checking each for the best offers. Other games still have tickets available on the FIFA resale pages. Then, with several stadiums still having plenty of empty seats visible, despite organizers announcing official attendances to the contrary. But for the crucial match, where Argentina had to win to get themselves back in contention for the knockout rounds, demand was far outstripping supply. The rest to negotiate a ticket sale via WhatsApp was on, and of course, you could see the stadium was really full. The Lusail Stadium in Qatar. And also, just roughly to take you through what is coming up in the World Cup, more of the matches that happened yesterday. On Sunday, Belgium was shocked by Morocco after losing 2-0 yesterday, and also Croatia put for us Canada. That's so Canada becoming the second nation to get off, to pack their bags away from Qatar, following Qatar, the hosts themselves, losing their first 2 opening matches. Then lastly, the game of the night was between Spain and Germany. That game ended 1-0 with Morata striking in the 62nd minute and Germany getting the equalizer in the 83rd minute to keep their hopes high to remain competitive in the World Cup of this particular year. The World Cup does continue today with more 4 matches as well. And of course, this particular week will as well see the knockout phases kick-starting off. And that's all from the issue to do with the World Cup. Now, this last report was only highlighting issues to do with illegal tickets being sold in Qatar, just because of the situations regarding more of the entry of other supporters into Qatar, and they definitely want to go in and buy more tickets, which are apparently off sale at some of the portals of FIFA. Now, away from sports business, I do have Barija Andrew already in studio waiting to give us more updates regarding entertainment business. Good morning, Andrew. How are you doing this morning?
I'm very fine, Joran. Good morning. Welcome back from that long trip. I guess you really must have had fun.
Oh, well, I can only tell you we do have lots of viewers in Barara,
Okay.
and most of them are gladly part of the ever-growing business world in there. Lots of businesses are in Barara,
Yeah.
but of course, my stay in Barara got me to realize there was a huge concert across the weekend,
Exactly.
which was a gospel concert.
Gospel concert,
Dubbed the Mbera Genesis
Mbera.
concert by Levixon, with quite huge numbers in there.
Yeah, actually, I sent some teams on the ground to really check to take a look at the attendance. I was really much more interested to see, because when you see numbers, they represent money. In that
Exactly.
instance. So I was trying to, and actually the turnout was really, really amazing. But just that, unfortunately, the gospel industry, what I can call the gospel music, at some point it's a little bit underrated. What do you think about that? And I really think there is quite great potential for this industry. You know? Okay.
Well, on my side, I feel the gospel industry, the only reason as why it is a bit underrated, and that was a huge statement from Levixon, I should say, is that it is always affiliated to what you could say Christianity or religion.
Exactly.
So that is one of the reasons as to why people would not speak more of the numbers that were available at Levixon as much as the numbers that were available at Eddie
At Eddie Kenzo.
Even when you realize the numbers were the same or even more, but then they would not speak of it highly as that, simply because it is gospel. But anyway, a huge congratulations to Levixon and the gospel fraternity as well as the Christian fraternity. That's a win for the entire gospel world.
Industry. And actually, just a brief before I get into some updates, it only ends in Uganda, where the gospel music is not really given much attention.
Okay.
Countries like Zambia, you've heard of a musician called Pompey.
Yes, he was in the country earlier this year.
Exactly. You know, Pompey, there is Limo Blaze. I mean,
From
there's
Nigeria.
Then there is some other, Mark 44, Zambia. Actually, in Zambia, if you're a secular artist, you want to make money as much as a gospel artist. They really treasure gospel music, and actually they make. I've seen concerts, you know, of Zambian artists in Zambia. They really have that support. There is that collective effort, and it's not an underrated industry in that regard.
Okay.
So it's very interesting.
All right, now Andrew Berida takes you through what is making headlines from the world of entertainment business.
Okay, now talking about entertainment this week, quite lots of events, actually lots of things are happening into the entertainment industry. There was quite a shocking report over this week. Probably it's been spreading a little bit, but it's not been really given so much attention regarding the economic turmoil amidst the mainstream media. And of course, we see quite some of these big media houses. We see, for example, CNN, which are under, that's Warner Brothers, you know, the Disney dominated channels, the Fox News, you know, the NBC, CNBC, and quite so many other mainstream medias, which really make people's, you know, like every morning somebody wakes up just to watch those channels. Quite a great turmoil that they may face. I believe that this crisis is the worst of its kind we've seen in the history. I've never seen a history of such massive layoffs regarding the entertainment industry, regarding that. And of course, in a report here, as CNN, ABC News and others grapple with advertising, of course, downturn and lower linear viewership, the new mandate is to trim costs and find savings. However, they can, while staffers weather the storm. You can get to understand that budget cuts, these mainstream medias, the advertisers that are coming to budget on them, to advertise on them, are reducing, and in this regard, the economic turmoil is really eating them up. There are quite so many expenses, you know, like production costs, which are really increasing on a higher basis, the high payrolls, and you know, most of these journalists and of course most of these TV presenters that work on these media channels are really paid some good amount of money. So this is turning out to be quite very expensive for these media houses in the long run. So they are considering, of course, major cut-offs, and majority of the employees are worried. They don't know where they're going to get the jobs. You know, they are really stranded. I was watching a certain clip of a certain journalist trying to talk about how worried the CNN presenters they are looking for. What are we going to do next? We are talking about livelihood, you know, and some of these people really have quite great mortgages right there, and it's quite a lot on them. Okay, the afternoon email that was yesterday hit some inside CNN, and of course like a ton of bricks, and of course the cable news network now under Warner Brothers Discovery, which is its second owner in just a few years, was going to face budget cuts and layoffs. And of course, there is a widespread concern over the global economic outlook. And of course, this is according to the CEO of CNN. And of course, there is a widespread concern over the global economic outlook, and we must factor that risk into our long-term planning. That's the CNN CEO, Chris Licht, and of course wrote in a late October memo. So now something you wrote in a late October memo is being manifested, of course, in this month. And come December, we expect massive layoffs from this particular company and each other, of course, as companies it undertakes, because Warner Bros. Has quite a conglomerate of media companies right there. And of course, them being the leaders and the determinants of the market, I find that what they do, others at the end of the day, they are going to face the same. They're going to copy them because they set the trend in this particular industry. And of course, at the network town hall, that's on November 15th, alleged that's the CEO of CNN, confirmed to moderator, that's Alison Comeretta, and of course, that layoffs will hit the division come December. And of course, we just left with 2 days. Today is the 28th, 2 days. Remember, November has just 30 days. So starting next month, we're going to be of course, can I say experiencing, not experiencing, but we are going to witness, yes, that's the best word to use. We're going to witness massive layoffs for these companies right there. And of course, these cuts are part of the industry-wide pivot as media giants prepare for a difficult winter, seeking to reduce costs however they can. And of course, the news divisions will not be spared. So now we are looking at the news divisions here. Actually, in this particular report, you get to realize that some of the limitations that these companies are trying to put onto their staff is excess travel. For example, the news department, they have to travel to some places, and as they travel, they have the producers, they have the writers, they have the directors on ground. So now there is a need to reduce on these movements, whereby in case you're going to probably have to travel somewhere to shoot an interview, they would rather do a Zoom. A Zoom meeting, because it will be saving as compared to going with an entire crew, transportation costs. So it's really something not so good in that particular industry. And of course, at Disney, CEO Bob Chapek sent a memo to division leaders, that's on November 11th, outlining a hiring freeze, cancelling all travel not deemed. So literally, for any people out there that are trying to, of course, apply to get jobs in Disney or any companies that are Disney related, there is no chance out there because of now such what is really taking place. So there is a higher freeze regarding that. And of course, Disney owned, and of course that's ABC News, led by Kim Goodwin, is not exempt from those orders. And of course, she told staff in November 14th, of course, in the edit meeting. So we see also Disney, Warner Brothers, companies under Warner Brothers, CNN being one of them. We see ABC News, which is being controlled by Disney, also trying to take on this particular trend of staff cut-offs, laying off. And actually, don't be surprised when you actually realize that some of your favorite shows have been, you no longer actually see them on those particular channels. It's because there are really cuts going on, and you find that there is going to be what we call multitasking, that a certain group of presenters will be, you find that probably one presenter will be manning like 3 shows, yes, taking over, that covering up that space of those people that are known to that have been cut off probably. So this is a point whereby there is quite a lot of competition, excessive tension. And in such times, that's when, for those of you that love watching, of course, entertainment fans, such a time is where we get the best quality. Why? Everyone is trying to prove to their boss that I'm worth staying. You're not going to lay me off. And of course, quality comes in. And when that quality comes in, streaming is going to increase and revenue in the end of the day. So probably, at some point, actually, I was thinking, probably it's a trick. The entertainment business is quite very tricky and fun. Quite lots of things are being done by CEOs to ensure that they boost up the quality. There is the aspect of tension, because somebody believes I've invested quite lots of money into this, and I need to feel the value of money coming back. So I need to create a situation that really brings back this money. And at the end of the day, the employees, you will really have to face it. A good picture in this, for those of you who've watched a movie called Transformers, one of the actors there, that's Megan Fox, which actually this movie was directed by James Cameron. No, there was Steven Spielberg and Michael Bay. Yeah, sorry, Michael Bay. And then Megan Fox says that, when we are on set acting, Michael Bay is very tough on us. And actually, from that very time she made that comment, it's the last time Megan Fox ever appeared on the Transformers movie. But what's the whole point of this pressure? These are movies that are worth millions of dollars of money that are invested in it. So don't be surprised if you see a Michael Bay movie premiere, probably, and you see it's grossing about $1 billion. Somebody has invested 200 million. Definitely, when you're on set, acting is going to expect the best from you. I need to see that value come back. This is a serious business. Okay, it's not just that it's being too serious. Just that here in Uganda, some of these things we don't really take them as of much. Probably we don't respect them for those people that are participating in the entertainment industry. But they really wait. It explains why it's in the state it is lately. So it comes back to this. Well, I just digressed a little bit, trying to relate matters here of what is happening to the mainstream media, as some of the workers are trying to prove that they really need to stay. And of course, a few workers that have stayed on these TV stations that are doing these shows are those that probably have the most sponsors, the advertisers that bring in the money. So definitely, as layoffs are waiting just 3 days from now, we don't know what's going to come, and people are really on tension at what they're doing there. And like I said, it's in such times when probably we expect the best, from the Disney controlled channels, from the Warner Brothers controlled channels. So you get to understand that the competition is really tight regarding that. Okay, still continuing with this report, we see that actually just 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Let me try to wind up the report real quick. I'm really out of time. Of course, while it's not yet clear how widespread layoffs and staff reduction will be across the TV news and of course and landscape, the belt tightening is full in effect. And with 2022 midterm elections effectively over, Senate runoff and handful of close races, and of course the opportunity is presenting itself to trim back on spending, and of course at least until 2024. So that's what is really transpiring right there. A great economic turmoil, and of course in the mainstream media, some of these media channels that we look up to and really admire, the economic crisis is really undertaking them on a very serious note. Back to you, Jeremy.
All right, that's a very huge scare for the media industry. I will still tell you that if you're someone who's very excited about, let's say, if you get the opportunity to work for CNN, you will definitely not say no. We've got to see quite a number of media personalities from the African continent, the likes of Jeff Koinange working in there. Now we currently have Larry Madowo from Kenya as well, working in there as well. Good thing is that he's not among those that are being laid off. But these are some of the media houses. Look at the CNBC's benchmarking happens a lot from that. So when you look at laying off of workers, I wouldn't wish that to happen to any of us here, because that's when you're earning money, you don't want to be laid off. And simply because the company is actually having budgets. So clearly shows you that the world is economic disruptions or difficulties are not only hitting the other sectors, but also the media sector.
So we need prayers, really.
But of course, we do hope for more good news coming up next year, I believe. And Barijan has been here giving you more details regarding what is making headlines from the world of the entertainment business. After the break, we shall be having more of the business updates. We have the business insight coming up shortly after. So stick around. Smart Means Business continues immediately after the break. Good morning.